Hi there. We're about to see the live footage courtesy of Anna Cramling, who gave permission for the Kingscrusher YouTube channel to use the footage. So we're going to see the footage and then we're going to do a detailed analysis, or relatively detailed analysis, for the casual game after. Okay, so without further ado, e4, that's the Sicilian defense, knight f3, e6, d4, c takes d4, knight takes d4, pretty standard so far. Knight c6, knight c3, a6. So here Judit pausing for a moment, bishop e3. So this is setting up the English attack system against the Sicilian. So queen c7, queen d2. So this is often used against the Sicilian dragon, this setup. We have knight f6, f3, bishop e7, castling, b5. So these moves rattled out very quickly. g4. Now Magnus takes on d4, bishop takes d4. Bishop b7, e5. Now here Magnus takes on g4, so you can see that the bishop on b7 is looking at h1 here if f takes, but we'll do a detailed analysis shortly after. Rook g1 is played, the knight goes to h6, and actually here, yeah, the knight does seem misplaced, and Magnus commented on that. We have bishop d3, so white is actually, it seems white's got great compensation now. So Magnus Carlsen pausing here at this moment. There's some difficulties, and plays a retreat move, bishop f8. Bishop e4, challenging that bishop on b7. Now rook c8. And here a brilliancy move, bishop b6. Can you see why? I'll explain in more detailed analysis, but you can see actually the queen on d2 is aligned with the rook on d1, looking at d7. If the queen dares take on b6, we can see that queen takes d7 will be checkmate. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. This is the problem in this position. An iconic move in an iconic impromptu blitz game. Oh, whoops. The bishop's also on e4 is covering c6. How can the queen actually keep protection of the d7 square? Big problem here, big problem indeed. Magnus considering perhaps to resign, but plays on for a moment. Bishop takes e4. The queen is taken off. Rook c8, bishop d6, knight f5, knight e4, and here Magnus extends his hand. Okay, great sports, both of them. And Magnus making the story absolutely fantastic by not even wanting a rematch immediately or anything, so that's just great. Wow. Okay. So let's have a look at the game in detail now. e4 from Judit Polgar. We have a Sicilian defense from Magnus Carlsen, knight f3. e6, so playing the main line Sicilian. So Magnus takes on d4, knight takes d4, knight c6. We have knight c3, a6, and now bishop e3. This is the English attack system setup where white is treating it as though black has played a kind of, maybe dragon. This is very, very popular against the dragon, this setup. But with queen c7 now, we have queen d2, knight f6, f3, bishop e7, and Judit Carlsen's queenside. This often guarantees very exciting games. So b5 from Magnus, we have g4, knight takes d4, bishop takes d4, bishop b7. So black is putting more pressure on the center, and maybe b4 later will be interesting. But here, very interesting move now, e5. Usually in this position, king b1 is played. So for example, black castling, g5, knight h5. This position, perhaps best for black is f5. And after g takes, bishop takes. This is about even. If a move like e5, this would give white that d5 square. And in fact, bishop c3 here, this position is actually rather good for white. Maybe a nice edge there. So anyway, e5 though was played instead of king b1. And we have knight takes g4. So the idea is that if f takes, then there's bishop takes h1. So this is really interesting. It's an interesting move, knight takes g4, but maybe better would have been knight d5. So if knight e4, because if knight takes d5, that bishop's nicely parked in the center. This position, black is pretty comfortable with a small edge. So okay, and here maybe white's best is knight e4, and after knight b4, this is actually rather tricky because there's a killer common square here. Black actually threatens potentially bishop takes and bishop g5 to lure things away from c2. So for example, a3, bishop takes e4 is going to be this is going to be terminal for white to be mated on c2. So better would be a move like bishop d3, but black ends up slightly better here. After knight takes d3 check, queen takes d3, black has a small edge. So okay, so knight d5 is interesting, but knight takes g4 was played, so maybe a slight inaccuracy. Rook g1, and now knight h6. And Magnus himself commented that knight's not really that great there. One of the problems here is that if bishop takes f3, white has a really amazing move actually, bishop g2. So if bishop takes d1, bishop takes a8, and yeah, white's just ending up material advantage here. So that really is an amazing move. If the passive rook e1, then sure, h6 gives the bishop g5 threat, and black is going to be doing quite well here. It can even maybe take a pawn and hold on a good day. But okay, so knight h6 was played. We have bishop d3. You might think, what about rook takes g7? This is a bit of a positional trap, which Judit avoided, because knight f5, and actually things get nasty here. Knight takes d4. Dark square bishop without a counterpart already causes damage with bishop c5, skewering the queen and rook here. So yeah, there are some pitfalls to avoid. That would be a position which black would absolutely love. But bishop d3 was played, keeping the knight out of f5. We have bishop f8, a retreat move defending g7. So if knight f5 here, bishop takes, e takes, white could take on g7. And you can see the pawns are pretty fragmented. So this is going to be significantly better for white. So this is a position which is pretty pleasant for white indeed. There's a threat of bishop b6. So okay, bishop f8, we have bishop e4, rook c8. If bishop c6, this might be more steady to steady the d7 square. There is a battery here to be aware of. Magnus didn't do that, but bishop c6, just take it a bit further, king b1, queen b7. Black should be only with a small disadvantage here. So this position, for example, white could end up with a small edge, but it's not completely terminal. White has a small edge there. So rook c8 though was played, and yeah, now we have this amazing move, bishop b6. So the key point is, if queen takes b6, we have a delightful queen takes d7 checkmate. And the queen's basically can't really defend d7, so the queen's lost. But in effect, ends the game at move 16. So about 3 minutes of play, as we see, and Magnus Carlsen's got a completely lost position. Oh dear, park chess is very brutal, it seems. So bishop takes e4 was played. Carrying on for a moment, bishop takes c7, bishop goes back here, bishop d6, very logical to use the d6 square, knight f5, and after knight e4, yeah, Magnus resigned. I mean, he is a queen down. It's quite sportive of him to resign here and not even want the rematch, making the story really great. Wow, what an epic treat. A casual game, but sometimes in chess history, the casual games go down so well. Classic ones like Paul Morphy's opera game, and there's Capablanca's casual game against Fonarov to check out. So sometimes the casual games get passed down the generations, and this is one of those casual games which I think is going to be another iconic one for chess history generally. So it's amazing that we have the footage captured by Anna Kramling, Thank you so much for giving permission to the Kingscrusher YouTube channel. Anna Kramling's a brilliant YouTuber, very strong player. Check out her YouTube. And she's got 2 YouTube channels, one for clips. And yeah, it's just an iconic moment in chess history captured by Anna Kramling. So making this, thank you for allowing the use of the footage again. I can't emphasize enough what an exciting video for this channel to try and do. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed it. And, great sports, both of these. Judit Polgar, women's world champion, against current world champion Magnus Carlsen. Okay, comments, questions, like, shares, subscribes, all appreciated. Thanks so much.